DJI Mavic 3, the latest update. Got that coming up next. Bill the Drone Reviewer here. If you like the content of this video or anything on my channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any future content. With that, let's begin. The other night, I hosted Rotor Talk Live and was joined for part of the show by Mr. Ron Braun and Mr. Marcus Crawford. We discussed all the latest regarding the DJI Mavic 3. So without any further ado, let's roll that clip in its entirety. This is a great segue, Ron. And DJI is heads down on the Mavic 3, okay? They are laser focused on this because, you know, that Mavic 2 Pro, you know, and somebody asked me and left a comment on last week's video, and they said, oh, I don't think it's going to be selling soon. And I said, can you tell me where you can try to find a Mavic 2 Pro brand new to buy retail right now? You can't, okay? You may be able to try on eBay, but you're not buying from a reseller, okay?
Right.
You're not buying it brand new. It's not on the shelves at Best Buy. You can't find it at Amazon. You know, it's nowhere to be found right now. Now, you know, one of the things that was interesting was Hey Kesteloo, our good friend, put out a great article on this, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and share this right now. Now, you know, one of the things from this Twitter 27, and we'll go over that. Jasper Ellens is this guy's name. But we're going to go over Hay's article here. DJI Mavic 3 Pro name hinted in newly improved sketches, okay? Now, that's huge in and of itself, Ron, because, you know, a lot of people were, you know, Mavic 3, is it just going to be called DJI Mavic? What are they going to do? Here, you know, they're kind of saying it's going to be DJI Mavic 3 Pro.
It makes sense. They're going to reserve the Mavic name just for this top of the line drone. It's not going to be spread over all the way down to mini drones. It makes sense.
It makes an awful lot of sense, okay? And these new enhanced images, okay? The image also shows the air vent on top of the drone, openings needed to help cool off internal components to process the high resolution and high quality video footage. You can see not only one's crop, but the angle is slightly different, exposing, for example, the air intake on the top of the aircraft here. Seems the sketches process graphic based on a different photo than one used to create the image from Modelissimo. Furthermore, the image shows a dual camera setup, one of the two wide-angle obstacle avoidance sensors, the air intake, and the parts of the drone itself. You know, and I want to stop here for a second. These obstacle avoidance sensors, you know, and having them placed in an angle in the front of the drone, that was whoever did that at DJI should have gotten a bonus, because, you know, they're covering the sides of the aircraft and they're covering the front of the aircraft with that. All right. That was just pure genius. I mean, in and of itself.
Probably was the same guy that angled the sensors on the Air 2S.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And it really, those sensors do a great job. Now, you know, here's the bottom view of it, and let's take a look here, and it kind of matches. You can see some of the enhancements here on this, and then here's another bottom view compared to that one. And again, you know, these articles are all on Bill the Drone Reviewer out on my Facebook group and Facebook page. But, you know, one of the other things with this, Ron, is, you know, it seems to be on a weekly basis, there's some tidbit of news coming out about the Mavic 3, all right? And what I tell people is, when you see this news starting to ramp up like it's doing right now, okay, it means a release is imminent, all right?
And, have you been checking the FCC database?
Yeah, I've been out there, and I know I got a couple of my watchdogs are out there too, because you know, that's how I found out last time about, you know, like the Air 2S was coming out. Somebody pinged me and said, "Hey, Bill, it's hit the FCC database." So, you know, and that's the best thing. And unfortunately, the only way to go, you have to search for it manually. Okay, there's no algorithm you can run.
There's no Google search box in there. Yeah.
No, there's no Google search box. You just have to go at it, and it does take a lot of patience to try to find things like this. Right. But, you know, it means that this release is imminent. Now, you know, I've also had people saying, oh, it's going to be next year, and I'm going to say no, because there's a number of things. That biggest thing is, you can't buy it on DJI's website right now. You can't get it on Amazon. You can't get it at Best Buy. I don't think Walmart has it right now. You even have a tough time on eBay trying to find the Mavic 2 series right now.
Right. So what you're saying is, why would DJI give up having a drone that's $1,500 and up, not in their line for a long time? And plus, with the Mavic 2 Pro not being available, if somebody's looking for a drone in that class, they're going to say, well, I'll go buy the Evo 2 Pro instead. That's even worse. Now they're not only getting the sale, but they're driving the sale over to the competitor, which leads me to another question. Is it important that the Mavic 3 Pro debuts before the Evo 3 Pro with a 4/3 sensor, or even the one? Is it important DJI beats them out the gate?
Absolutely. They have to beat them out of the gate. Not only that, okay, and this thing needs to be flawless when it comes out. I mean, maybe run a quick firmware update, calibrate the compass. I do an IMU calibration, just, and as Lauren has taught me to do, I do a remote controller calibration, and thank you for that, Lauren, because that's really helped. And a compass calibration, after doing all those.
Speaking of that, remember the Mavic 2 Pro had a little hitch when it first was released. What was the hitch it had in the first, month of release? I remember.
I had the precision landing was one of them. Okay.
Right. Well, it wasn't that it wasn't working. It just wasn't there.
It wasn't there. And it's like, okay, I found that out in my very first flight. Valerie's looking, it's going to land on the roof. And I'm like, and I took, and I got it up, and I'm like, looking at her, I'm like, oh crap, this video is going to be no good. But then I realized something. I'm like, wait a minute. Okay. It wasn't supposed to do that. And it hit me what was going on there. So,
right. Yeah, they took a kind of a little step back. And that's how good the Mavic Pro 1 was, that they couldn't even get all the features in the Mavic 2 Pro right away.
Yeah.
That's how great that first row was. But I thought there was some kind of a hitch with the camera. There's some kind of thing that DJI did correct with a software update.
There was a firmware update with the camera, and my gosh, it's been 3 years. I know. I'm putting you under the gun here. Remember, 3 years ago. But I'm just making a point. Even the Mavic 2 Pro had a little hitch or two out the gate or whatever. But of course, they didn't have the competition then that's here now. Right. Now, the other thing that DJI did really well, Ron, was, I had ordered it the day of the release. When I was in New York City that afternoon from the hotel room, I ordered it from the comfort of my room. And what was it? 6 days later, it was up on my doorstep. And they learned their lesson from when the original Mavic Pro came out. With supply and demand. They added distribution centers out on the East Coast and Midwest, and they don't have that problem anymore. And this is one of the things I also think that DJI is doing right now. They're ramping up production for this. Okay, they're cranking them out, and we're hearing rumors that this is going out not just one plant but multiple plants from DJI. So they're heads down on this, and I don't blame them, because this is going to be their bread and butter. This is going to be. And I think there's going to be.
So this is their Super Bowl. This is the one they gotta get right. And speaking of Super Bowls, here comes the Super Bowl champ of our show.
hey boys, what did I miss? Can we start over?
Can we?
well, listen. But before we start over, Drone Master has a question in the chat for Bill and me. He says, Drone Master, your estimated price of the Mavic 3 Pro, Bill, Ron, based on the new features mentioned in the leaks, and we could throw Marcus in this too on his prediction for the price of the Mavic Pro 3.
Well, let's see here. David Martin Graff says $17.99 Mavic 3 Pro.
You going with David?
I'm saying it's gonna. I'm saying you're gonna top out. It's gonna be over 2K, and you're gonna have a smart controller with it. It's gonna break the 2K barrier.
What's that smart controller going to add to the price? That is the 2K.
I think that's going to add about maybe $400, $450 to the price.
Well, Bill, that's not kind of fair since the Fimi 2022 will have a smart controller and they haven't raised their prices.
Well, you know what? Who needs a controller with a Fimi? Because it's probably going to lose signal anyway.
We don't know the nits on that screen yet, but we're hoping for at least 2,000.
But you know, all kidding aside, you know, I do see a smart controller being bundled with the Mavic 3 Pro.
But you're looking at $2,000 minimum.
Yeah, I think with that it'll be $2,000 minimum, because I don't think they're going to have a regular controller like we see. Okay, they may have a standard version and they may have an upgraded version. Okay, they may have one like David Martin grabbed for $17.99 and it's just bare bones. But I think the one that's going to be over $2,000, probably maybe $2,100, I think that one's going to be a full-fledged smart controller and have all the bells and whistles with it.
I think there's going to be, I'm down with that $17.99 price. I think that sounds about spot on for the base model. I think you're going to see a controller that's similar to what we have with the Air 2S, but I suspect it will have an LCD or an LED display, with telemetry and so forth on it. And then, Bill, this is where I will 100% agree with you. No question, they'll package a new smart controller, and that will put the thing up to $2,400.
Yeah,
and that's just the base model. I guarantee you, there's going to be camera options, some different things going on.
Oh yeah. Lauren says, "Which one, Ron? See my comment. There are 2 models." I guess he means there's 2 models of the Pro,
not including the Enterprise Edition.
I'm scrolling back to see his comment.
Mavic
3 and Mavic 3 Pro, 2 models. Okay, so I guess what we're going to say then, that the Mavic 3, just the plain Jane Mavic 3, $17.99, but the Mavic 3 Pro, we're gonna come in at what, $23.99 on that one?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, now let me.
Well, Ron, you didn't give us your opinion yet. You got to tell us. You got to throw your.
No, I did. I just that's my 2 ballparks: $17.99 for the standard Mavic 3 and $23.99 for the Pro.
Question of the day: what do you think of the latest regarding the DJI Mavic 3? Let me know in the comments section below. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, it's a great day to fly.